Good. I have with me Chris Adams today. Chris, what is your title and role at Microsoft?
Well, I'm actually a program manager with the IS team, working heavily on making sure that everybody gets the message about what we're doing with IS7,
Okay.
as well as what we've done well with IS6 and some of our ship products, and enjoying my time here at PDC.
Good. Hey, so what is your role here at PDC? What are the type of things you're involved with?
Well, the main goal of for me is to make sure that the message that we want to deliver for IS7 is out there, and that is that we're building on the platform that IS6 has given us, which is a very secure platform, a very robust and very well-performing platform. But at the same time, look at all the great things that we're doing, and that includes breakout sessions, making sure that I'm working to make sure we have a unified message there, as well as making sure that people get the message at the pavilion that's
good.
here at PDC, and then make sure that if they want to have more learning, they can go to the hands-on lab, which is going to teach them in depth what they need to know.
Good, man. You're at the right place. So we're going to get the word out here, too. So let me ask you this. So we have IS7.0.
Yep.
What are some of the big differences between that and IS6?
Well, the main thing is that IS6 was really one of those, as we talked about today, Bill Staples, our product unit manager, really kind of outlined the fact that IS as a product has had a colorful past, and that is we started about 10 years ago, 1996, with IS 1.0, 2.0, and everything's kind of been...
it's come a long way.
It's come a long way. So, the numbers are going to start going into double digits here soon if we're not careful. But the thing is that colorful past is built pretty much around, what we did right and what we did wrong. When it boils down to it, is that in 1999, 2000, we had a robust platform that was really capable of just enabling everybody out of the box. Problem is we had things like Code Red and NIMDA that really taught us what security was all about. I'm not saying that it's helped the entire Microsoft, but we were one of the first ones to be hit. So 2003 and IS6.0 was that first learning curve for us, and we learned by just taking a real world assessment of how we're doing in the platform, and then turning around and saying, okay, how can we do this better?
Okay.
And the difference between 7 and 6 is that 6 we've had zero security vulnerabilities in our critical core, which is a trust that really our customers have asked out of us. If you're going to do the most popular protocol on the most popular network in the world, which is the internet, make sure it's secure. And we did that, and we feel comfortable with that platform. But you know what? We had some scenarios that we didn't nail. So 7 gives those delegation, meaning you don't have to be administrator on the machine.
Right.
You can actually deploy
That's a big thing. I mean, a lot of people, I think, run their apps and even on your personal machine as administrator. And I guess some of what we've learned is that you don't need to do that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, running them as administrator can give you a kind of a false positive. They're going to work because you're an administrator. Therefore, you can get security issues when you actually deploy them in a production environment. You need to be able to step up and make sure that you can delegate the right permissions to the developers, and so that you can give them functionality such as, if you happen to call your default document or your home page index.html, you used to have to call your administrator up and say, by the way, would you add that to this list, because that's not a common one for everybody. Why do they need to call the administrator and bother them? They're busy enough. They've got their own worries about printing and about the Active Directory. So a lot of that things can be done just by deploying it at the exact same time with their with their content. They can deploy their configuration, and then everything's taken care of. It's fixed right there without calling anybody.
Nice. Hey, so Code Red and NIMDA, going back to that was a watershed moment, wasn't it? Because didn't that actually change our product and our philosophy behind it in some degrees? Didn't we do some things differently?
Absolutely.
That came through?
Code Red was a long evening for me, maybe morning and the next evening and a few more. But absolutely, it changed our mindset because, as a whole, it was the first time we were thrown into the whole vision of maybe security needs to be bumped up before functionality and features. I'm not saying that it's kind of changed. I'm saying it changed the whole perspective. We were at a high with our product, and we were able to sustain a great market share, and we were doing great. But then we've learned now since then that above all, security's there. That's what we've got to do. So everything that we do, we instrumented. We did penetration testing for IS6. We did a lot of performance and security testing to make sure that are we nailing not the 50%, but the 99% of the time, meaning are we secure by default? Because in previous versions of IIS, we were all about you get the feature and you can opt out of it. We flipped that around and we said, you know what? Why don't they opt in? If they want the feature, turn it on, as opposed to turning it off.
So it's more locked down by default, and you have to unlock things.
Sure. I mean, we took trustworthy computing to the nth degree, meaning that secure by design. We built our product, meaning that from the ground up, we compiled it the right way, meaning with making sure that we're using the latest compiler and that buffer overruns could be avoided if at all possible. We made sure that by default, administrators and developers could actually trust the web server, meaning that if you deployed it, if you didn't do anything else but just turn it on and install it, it would only serve static content. And to this date, there's not many, if any, actual problems with static content causing your web server to buffer overrun or something of that nature. So, it's totally, a perspective that you have to take when you're doing enterprise computing, and that's what we really looked at when we did IS6. Building on that 7 is just taking all those things we didn't have time to do and getting them all done.
So there's a huge emphasis on 7 for security as well. Is there any other things that we're getting out of IS7 as well?
Sure. I mean, we completely rewrote our UI.
Okay.
Our user interface is brand new. So some of the things that we got as feedback from customers is that in the IS6 timeframe, there was some 540 metabase properties, of which probably about 50%, if maybe not less, was exposed by the UI.
Yeah.
It can be very difficult for a lot of people to deploy that when they know that most of the stuff requires them to go into the configuration or into command line. So one of the things we did, we said we have to be able to make sure that the story is consistent across the UI, across scripting, which is WMI, as well as if they just want to open up Notepad and go to town, it's there as well. So that was a big one. And then on top of that, like I said, from a security standpoint, we need to make sure that delegations there, you don't have to be an admin on the box. We also are completely compatible, meaning that if you were going to take IS6 applications, try to deploy them, we're going to make sure that they work. We have a special service designed just to read information that's for the legacy applications and turn around and put it into our new config. So they just work. We want it to not be, be magic, but we want them to know that they can just go to 7, and we're going to make sure it works.
That's actually very important. Backwards compatibility is very, very important. Okay. So if I'm a partner and I want to build on this, when do I get IS7? How do I get it?
Well, IS7 right now is currently on the what we would call the Longhorn train, meaning that we are essentially
server or client.
We're actually going both. We're going to try to avoid some of the pitfalls that we heard from customers, which was with XP we had 5.1. With Server 2003, we had IS6.0. In the Longhorn timeframe, we're going to give you all. We're going to give a feature-rich, a very full version of the product that's capable of being developed on the client, so that you can prepare for that time when Longhorn Server comes and you can get full-blown web server capabilities. So it's going to be on both platforms, meaning Longhorn Vista or Windows Vista and Longhorn Server.
It's hard to stop saying Longhorn, isn't it?
It's tough. I'm gonna keep struggling no matter how much I do it. I keep saying Longhorn.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you on that. All right, so that's coming in around that time frame. So if I need more information now to start developing, where do I go for that? Is it available yet, or is it coming?
Well, one of the things about we're going to really try to turn that corner, let's say in the November, December time frame, meaning that with Beta 2 and with the release of Advanced Server, in general, we're really going to be feature-rich and ready to go. Meaning that it took us a while to get into Longhorn and to get set up and get us going, but overall, the information is available. Just in general, you're starting to see a lot of information available at these type of conferences. You could certainly look for us to be very visible on MSDN and some TechNet. Very, as we start getting baked in. I wouldn't say we're pretty close if we're not almost there. But you're going to start seeing a lot of the overall ability for people to jump on that bandwagon and make sure that they understand why. I mean, our main pillars, just so that everybody knows, IS7 is certainly be that we're supportable. So we got a very good diagnostic story. No more spending many hundreds of dollars to try to help figure out what's going in the black box. That that it's compatible, that it's also capable of doing a delegated configuration. Security is absolutely up there. It still has not changed. And then, overall, there's just a lot of stuff we want to get out there from a perspective of making sure that customers trust us in the enterprise. They trust us at the desktop as well.
Good. So by the end of the year, somewhere around that time, keep your eye on MSDN, and we'll find more.
MSDN. Our partners are going to love us. We have the ability now where we can plug and play modules just as they fit.
Nice. Okay.
Meaning that back in the day they had what I would call a small API. It was called a SAPI, and then they could also write CGI.
Yep. Right.
That was about their only avenue to get into our web server and do anything. I mean, today they can actually, with IIS 7, as we move forward, if they don't like something that we're doing, they can replace that. Meaning that, such things as if they want to change the fact that basic authentication goes to an actual SAM database, which means you have to have a Windows user account. Rewrite the module, and you can deploy that right on the top of and put it right in the place of ours. Meaning that you can actually, do a plug and play of modules. Partners are going to love that, as well as being able to componentize it and strip it down. They can take, say they have an application that only uses 6 to 8 of our modules. They don't have to deploy all 40 modules that we built out as we broke it into pieces.
Nice. Okay.
They can actually shrink that and say, you know what, run this MSI and we'll install IIS just like we want it. So partners are going to love the fact that there's no more just a small window. You have a full-blown, you can write native code and use our new Win32 API, or you can write managed code.
Nice.
Whatever you want to do.
Wow, sounds like there's a lot of flexibility comes out.
We got all kinds of things. Nice. We could sit and talk for hours.
I bet we could, man. Hey, Chris, you seem very passionate about this, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, I'm glad you had us, man.
All right, man.
I appreciate
it. Have a
it.
good show.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Take care.